Welcome to this edition of EC3 HOSA Medical Moments. Today we're joined by Janae Sutton. She is the Director of Health and Family Services for Hardin County Schools. Janae, for those that do not know you as well as I do, give a brief history of yourself.
Thank you very much, Gina, for having me here today. Always enjoy spending time with you. My name is Janae Sutton. I'm the Director of Health and Family Services for Hardin County Schools. And Gina started all back in 1996 when my husband Greg and I moved here. We got married, moved to Elizabethtown, and I started as a teacher at James Yalton Middle School. Spent 9 years there as a music teacher, and then on to Woodland Elementary, where I was a school counselor, served there, and then served at Vine Grove Elementary as an assistant principal. And then this starts, I believe it's my 13th year as the Director of Health and Family Services. Really enjoying the multitude of programs that are here and how it serves our community and our families to support them and help strengthen them.
What's the history of the family services part? It happened with CARA.
Sure. Family Resource Youth Service Centers came about in 1990 with CARA. For a lack of better words, it was to level the playing field. A lot of services were not available to all individuals depending on where they lived in the state of Kentucky. So our legislator envisioned, they're basically very similar to social workers in your schools. They all have bachelor's degrees. Some of them are licensed certified mental health therapists. But their role is to be able to take and connect the community resources with school resources to those families who have students that there's some type of gap there that they need to bridge in order for their child to be able to be successful. Sometimes it's academics and learning. And that's when you see our teachers and instructors, interventionists to come into play and start helping with children. And the FRIS do help on that academic side with tutoring resources and some things like that. But they're also looking not just at that cognitive academic side, but they're also looking at things that the children and the families might need, like good child care before and after school. If they are in need of some type of career developmental activities so that they can see their goal, where are they going in life. Many are used to the FRIS helping supply basic needs, food, clothing, and some things like that. And that is obviously another area that they assist with. But mental health therapy services, they connect them to medical services. Some families, they would or should be qualifying for some support through Medicaid and so forth. And they'll help those families get online, be able to navigate the technology world and get their kiddos signed up for some services they might need.
So when did the health component and nurses start in districts and things? And we moved past the Friskies, so when did the health services, when did that actually get going?
The Lincoln Trail District Health Department has been around since I've been in this community and for many, many, many years to come prior to that. So underneath, if you look at our state government and all the different offices, you have the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. So underneath the cabinet is what we were just talking about, the Family Resource Youth Service Centers, if you think of it like an umbrella and all the different prongs of an umbrella. So the Division of Family Resource Youth Service Centers is one of those prongs, as well as the Department of Public Health. And that's where you're going to find your health departments providing services for those families and folks in your community in need. So originally, all of our school nurses and those services were able to come through there. Based on budgeting and some different things, there's been a transition And we do contract now with a federally qualified health center. They do receive funding in a different yet similar fashion through governmental support and so forth. But so Cumberland Family Medical is who we contract with for our school health services, while still heavily relying on the health department and other local pediatricians, our Baptist Health Hardin, Norton's, lots of different partners in our community to provide those health services because our kiddos, some of them just don't have a medical home. I'm sure you could tell me maybe who your family doctor is, and some kiddos have family doctors, but some do not, and we saw that as a gap that needed to be bridged.
With our health services, how many nurses and physician's assistants and mental health providers do we have?
Sure. So Cumberland Family Medical provides a school nurse within each of our buildings. We actually have went from 22 to 23 nurses. So EC3, our Early College and Career Center, now has a part-time nurse. Those students all have home schools that they go to, but some of those academy kids, they really don't visit their home schools all that much. And we were able to place someone there part-time. We're hoping that will eventually become a full-time position. And then, so that makes 23 school nurses. And then we kind of divide north in schools, there's about 6 to 7. Then central area, and then in our South Pod area, we have 3 nurse practitioners. Each of those, the design is for them to each have a provider nurse that would take notes, take temperatures, and so forth. So if a child comes into a school nurse clinic, is not feeling well, has a headache, maybe they think this looks like an ear infection. So they would call the parent. The parent has already signed consent, but we always want parents to know what's going on. So we would call that parent. Your child appears to maybe have an ear infection, maybe some type of sinus infection. Would you like to see one of the nurse practitioners on staff, or would you like to pick your child up, take them to your family doctor, and so forth? So that's when that sick child visit would happen and so forth. And the neat thing, too, that Cumberland is able to provide through a machine, it's called Tito, and they can do telehealth visits.
Oh, great.
So for some of those sick child visits, let's say the nurse practitioner is out at Lakewood and just not going to make it in time to get to the Cecilia Valley or to Central Hardin to see a kid before school's out, and timing-wise. So they do a telehealth visit. So the school nurse there sits there with the child. Parents are always welcome to come in if they want to come in as well. You can get your prescription. They send it in through e-scripts. You can drop off on your way home to your pharmacy, and reduces time missing from school. Another advantage is not just our kiddos, but all of our staff have access to these services, whether it's physical health, chronic sick health needs, or some of those individuals do need that mental health therapy and so forth. We, at our district, through Cumberland Family Medical, we do have 12 school-based therapists that serve within our building. In addition to the Cumberland Family Medical, we also contract with multiple other agencies right here in our local community that come in through the Frisk. They always talk to the Frisk, they talk with classroom teachers, school counselor, to make sure they're meeting with the kids during a good time to where they're not missing too many academics.
You know, the nurses, they do more than just hand out medication. Mm-hmm. A day in the life of a school nurse, what would that look like?
It's very busy. It's very, very busy. So a lot of folks just naturally think of what they would help with, which is giving daily meds. Some of our children have medications that are required to be given at lunchtime and so forth. We also have children with chronic health needs, such as diabetics. Some of them have anaphylaxis, so they might need a EpiPen and things like that. So we think of those kiddos that have, whether they're needing their blood sugar checked, supports in that kind of way. And so the school nurse is always going to be there. There's accidents that happen. We have wonderful PE, physical education classes where kids are very active. Somebody could fall, they could break an arm, and so forth. We also have kiddos that will go in to see the school nurse. Something's going on that's just not the same as what's been going on in their body, and they finally maybe don't feel comfortable talking to their folks and so forth. So that nurse helps bridge that with the parent, so everybody's comfortable and in the awareness piece. And then we've had some very serious situations. We've had some staff members, we've had some students, serious heart conditions. We've had to have life flight come in. We've had substance abuse that has occurred, and so some overdoses within the school building and so forth. We find that we also have children, students, as well as staff members that might be expecting a child, and they need support services.
You know, to me, the two positions, Family Resource Youth Service Center coordinators and the healthcare workers, probably have been the most revolutionary that has come from CARA in regards to, this is one thing that has stayed put. And in fact, it's something that I think everyone in the state realizes that is a great get for Kentucky. So how do you reflect on that in regards to our district, since you have been here for over 20
Our legislature places value on the FRISC and on those health services. They recognize that our families, while coming to school, it is about reading, writing, and arithmetic. There are the 3 R's, but the total child is so much more. And as our world constantly changes, and it changes faster than I feel like sometimes we're able to keep up with, those social economic influencers that are coming in, whether it's poverty, whether it's mental illness, traumatic. We have seen so many families and so many children that have experienced some very traumatic life-changing episodes that in order to get to the table, to even put the pen to the paper, to even put the fingers on the keyboard to start learning, that there's some barriers that have to be removed. And your FRISC, your health services are just key to all of that.
Now, we also have a person that oversees those that are without homes.
Yes, through our programming with the Family Resource Youth Service Center, they have worked with families whether they're having trouble with electrical, water, paying rent, and so forth, and keeping their car on the road. Because sometimes that's so important, because if you lose your car and you can't get to your job, and the job is what's keeping you in your home. So our Family Resource Youth Service Center coordinators, our FRISC, they have always been involved in that piece, and they continue to be involved. But there are just some situations that there just needs to be more intensive case management that's worked. Ms. Morgan, our superintendent, she had a vision. We were looking at things during the pandemic, and due to job losses and all different kinds of things happening, we found that there were several families for homeless. And now, let's understand homeless. You and I might think of that means just living outdoors, living in a tent, and so forth. But the state of Kentucky and our school districts, homeless can fall under 4 categories. It is living outdoors, living in a tent, something unacceptable. It also could be doubled up. So if I'm a single mom and my children, we can't afford our rent, and you were my sister, so maybe I come and I live on your couch, and so forth. That's still not considered fixed, adequate housing for those families, because every kid needs a bedroom, needs an area, or maybe sharing one, but their own space. So doubled up, living in hotels or motels. We do have 3 hotels currently in our area that help us. So if a family's been evicted, or something suddenly has happened, a fire, that work with us and give us good rates for a 2 to 3 night emergency stay. But folks, we do have families that have been living in some local hotels and so forth. But then the other piece to that is just inadequate housing. So you might have a home, the windows are out, the roofing is not acceptable, the flooring is not acceptable. These children are all covered under the McKinney-Vento Act. And the McKinney-Vento Act it covers all children throughout our United States, but particularly our McKinney-Vento liaison here is Jessica Durantz, and she is the one that leads our Family Stability Program and that intensive case management. Just recently I was sharing, when I shared with the Board of Education last week at the meeting, she has worked with a teenage, 18 years old, had an altercation with parent, ended up out on the street. But because of their work, getting signed up for SNAP and food stamps, getting a job, locating, securing good housing, that child, while he's 18, he is able to live on his own, and he's going to graduate high school and go on to do just fine because of the work and the support with the Family Resource Youth Service Center, as well as with Jessica, and just removing some barriers that he didn't create, he didn't deserve, but he's wanting to succeed.
You mentioned presenting to our school board for our departmental sharing. What do you really want the board members and the community to know that they may not know, in regards to...
It's kind of small picture. Jessica shared this to Ranch. She said, when you share with them, when you speak to the community at even any time, we have a loving community. And we have a very resource-rich community that not a lot of counties in Kentucky can say that. And so we ask that for those of you that are property owners or that are connected to property owners to, on monthly rent, to help make some of our areas with affordable housing. It's gotten to the point within our county, it's hard to support a family. Wage income is not matching, the increase that is happening in wage income is not matching what housing costs are. And it's kind of like the old adage, just because you can doesn't mean you should charge those things. So I would ask, that we continue to be that community that loves on and supports its own members and so forth. But as far as just what falls under my directorship is there's so many moving parts and things that go into not just helping our students and families, but also our staff. I get to work with, wonderful Amy Wood with all of our child care services. And that plugs directly back into Frisk because we help with child care. So it's the school-age child care for families right after school time, but then it's also child care for birth through age 5, which is our staff. We have families, also if you're an ECTC student, we have a contract there. If you're an Excel teen parent, that you could have opportunities for child care there and so forth. And speaking of birth to 5, also underneath Frisk is First Connections, which is the greatest thing and so wonderful. It's completely free. I would invite any of you to hop on our website, get a hold of your Family Resource Center at your school to find out where you could go. We have a North Pod. Mayor Duval, he is so kind. He has given us the Radcliffe Clerk Building. It's right to if you're looking at the Radcliffe Police Department, to the left is Colvin's, and to the right, he's built a little city center if you needed help with like printing and some things like that. But also is our Cradle School right there. So Tiffany Wilson leads there. Celeste Coleman is at the College View campus inside of our Early Learning Academy. She's leading Cradle School class opportunities. And then wonderful Miss Chumbley is in the south end at Old East Hardin. She is out in the side block building. You can go on Facebook, look at HCS. Cradle School, and then it'll be Dash North Pod or South Pod. All the schedules are there. It's free. Some of them have where you sign up on a Google form just so they know how many's coming and so forth. But there's engaging learning opportunities, and you're right there with your kid, and great new resources and ways to work with your kiddo.
Now, that's been in existence for at least 15 years, would
Sure.
you say? So
United Way has been super supportive and continuing some grant funding. In the years past, that funding has decreased, but they are still supporting us and see that vision and see that how powerful and how important a resource like that is.
I noticed in that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here, but you do have, what are outreach workers?
So-
And we have some of those.
Yeah,
So-
we have 20 Frisk coordinators throughout our school district. All of our Frisk funding does not come from Hardin County Schools Board of Education. Again, the division of Frisk, based on how many free lunch numbers we have. We are allocated funding, and so we have 20 centers. We have one at each of our high schools, and then we have one at each of our middle schools. All of our elementary schools, to include North Park, our primary center, they have FRCs. family resource centers. And then our one true Frisk, F-R-Y-S-C, because it has an elementary school, which is Vine Grove, and a middle school, which is James T. Alton. When you combine an elementary with a middle and or high, that's where you get the Frisk. That is at James T. Alton and Vine Grove, and they're called 4U. But those larger high schools, Central and John, and then the center, J.T. Alton and Vine Grove 4U, that serves 2 schools, they have an outreach worker. So those individuals work in coordination with a Frisk coordinator just to get it all done. There's plenty of work to go around.
I was going to say, it's amazing what they do, and we haven't even talked about the different programs that they
host.
orchestrate and they host. And there's a wellness fair that's gone over really well, but
Yeah.
and also community, when we do back to school,
Back to School
we do
Fest.
community festivals. So talk about those. Those are things that have happened within the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, Frisk, they are so wonderful. They're independent at their schools, and they're doing all this amazing programming, whether it's working with career fairs at their schools, and they bring in, and they have reality stores. They do, like we talked about, academic support. They have mentoring groups that come in. We have the Keys group. We have Hope Collaborative. We have the Zeta Sigma fellows that come in and mentor our kids. They help with your basic needs, to include school supplies or clothing and so forth. But big picture, they're like, you know what? As a group, we can collaborate and make an even bigger impact, is what they felt. So our Back to School Fest, I think this coming year will be our 4th year doing a Back to School Fest. So we have one, it's per feeder. So at North Hardin, Central Hardin's under construction, so we'll have it at an alternate location. And then the John Hardin, the Bulldog Fest will be there. So we have a Bruin Fest, a Bulldog Fest, and a Trojan Fest. And all those middle and elementary schools, those principals show up, but then the community resources that feed into and serve families can walk around and enjoy. Plus, there's fun stuff. There's usually some face painting or some temporary tattoos. There's lots of inflatables.
Bounce houses.
Yes, all kinds of wonderful
Rock
things.
climbing. Things that I will not do.
So there's the Back to School Fest that they do, which is phenomenal and such a huge impact. Then move into the holiday season. They've just completed a massive holiday season working with a ton of community partners and providing holiday assistance, truly in the form, sometimes enjoyable toys and stuff, but trying to get some things, those clothing is a wonderful time to get those in those kids' hands and those families' hands. So we've had thousands of kids helped through the Angel Tree as well as the Salvation Army, Shop with a Cop, Rods and Machines, St. James Catholic Church. We could go on and on and on. Shop with a Shriner. A lot of our staff adopt children and so forth. So it's been wonderful. Then the third thing, we have had a wellness fair. And notice the past 2 years, it's kind of new, good participation, but we have 15,000 kids. So we would love for all 15,000 to have access to those resources.
Right.
So February 5th through the 9th, parents pay close attention. We are in coordination with our HCS, hashtag HCS Everyday Counts attendance initiative. We're looking at all those wellness pieces. There will be a day that focuses on mental well-being, one on physical well-being, sleep, nutrition, and then all children will have the opportunity to learn chest compression only CPR as part of this week. And every day will be a special dress day according to what they're focusing on. There'll be some fun online activities. American Heart Association has joined with us as they have in years past. So if you want your child to also do to participate in that American Heart piece of it, that's also available for your child. You can just do all the fun activities that are happening that the Frisk have coordinated with their PE teachers and their school administration, but February 5th through 9th.
It's also the month to recognize.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that.
With American Heart?
Yes.
Yeah, so American Heart Association has come in, and part of our Wellness Week, you can log on to Finn's Mission, and there's a variety of activities that focus on recognizing stroke signs, learning CPR, chest compression, hands only as well, because we want our students to be prepared and be ready and know how to call 911 and know how to start CPR if they're physically big enough and able to do things like that. Because a lot of our kiddos live with grandparents, live with aunts and uncles and so forth, and just want them, it's stressful enough to be in a situation like that, but if you don't know how to help, then that makes it even worse. So just equip our kiddos. So we're thankful for the American Heart that'll partner with us that week as well.
So, and realistically, the FRISC coordinators and the healthcare workers, they touch all the students.
They do.
I mean,
They
every
do.
school.
Funding is based on our free lunch count and so forth, but they're to serve all students. Your Red Ribbon Weeks, where you're looking at substance abuse. Baptist Health Hardin came in and brought the vaping presentations to all of our middle school. It doesn't just happen for the kids that sign up or for the kids that are targeted or anything like that. It's for all kids because right now their minds are growing, developing, they're building their views and morals of the world, and we just want them to have as much information as they can as they go out and make really important decisions, because each choice each day could change a life.
Right. What are some things that, in addition to that, that you would like the local community to know about just, being connected, and how many of the, let's just say it this way, if you don't have a child in school, is this something that is still available to you community-wide?
Community-wide. So we can always get you connected. We have folks that just call my office, and they're like, I don't have a child, but I have a need. And based upon all these partnerships and relationships, because you know as well as I do, Gina, it's a lot about relationships. Just today, Baptist Health Hardin stopped by our office and dropped off 11,500 diapers that just their employees, they did not raise in the community. The Baptist Health Hardin, I told them that they are the new Dick Vitale diaper dandies of our community. But those diapers, while they donated them to Hardin County Schools, they're going to be available for anyone. That story's going to go out on the News Enterprise. It went out on our Facebook. If there are families in need, they don't have school-age children yet, but they have kiddos that help. Of course, we're going to connect them and to help strengthen them, because that's what you want to do, not a hand out, but a hand up. We want to strengthen them to where at some point they're walking tall and strong.
What do people need to know how to get in touch with our different friskies and also the health care?
Sure. You can call any of our local schools. You can look at our HCS website to get those phone numbers. Call me at central office, 270-769-8824. Or you could reach out and email. Most of our schools, if you get to the school and you look at the FRISC, each one of them have their own tab and so forth. You could email them, because some folks would rather communicate via email as opposed to talking on the phone.
I was going to say, I know that you've had one story after another of us, of those individuals being saved and those children. Do we get enough funding, or do we need more?
Funding is a difficult thing because we are blessed. As I sit here and talk, if I said we didn't have enough, all these things that we have wouldn't be here. So we certainly do have enough. What I will say that is difficult is about the Community Eligibility Provisions Program. We call it CEP in the schools. So all moms and dads, you do now get free lunch and free breakfast throughout Hardin County Schools. But the important thing to remember is, in order for these funds to happen, the children have to qualify. So those forms are so important to still be filled out. And we already last year we lost over 85,000. When we went from, they had froze our numbers. We were just using December 1 count free lunch numbers from December 2019. They froze them during the pandemic for obvious reasons. People were in the buildings. We couldn't pass out the free lunch forms. But when we've come back and we're doing real and actual numbers, we received $212 per free child. So for any of those that would qualify, that the families are not getting those forms filled out, it has to be an Infinite Campus that even though that kid doesn't have to qualify, you're already going to get free lunch, but we need them to qualify. So that's just really key.
Thank you, Janae, for coming in
Absolutely.
to Medical Moments. Always wonderful information. And for those of you that are interested, Janae did give a department talk at our recent board meeting. And as always, she works tirelessly helping all of our students, staff, families. And so I appreciate all the work that you do for our district. That's all for this edition of EC3 HOSA Medical Moments. Stay safe, stay warm, and be careful.